Hello and welcome to a 5-minute rendition of a year and a bit's worth of work creating Average AF. My name is Jody Lowe and I'm the creator of this program that I'm trying to get the likes of yourself hopefully to be interested in enough to make a difference in a lot of people's lives in the country, particularly men. That's what I am, believe it or not. And I guess, I've been through what most would consider hell and back with mental health issues over the last sort of 12 years. And you get to the point where you crossroads, whether you choose to check out or you choose to tear it all down and rebuild. And thankfully, I had my family there willing and waiting for me to make that decision to tear it down and rebuild. Part of my rebuild process was to understand the things that had got out of balance in my life, which were the 5 principles that I now hold key to each day's progress: spiritual, physical, the intellectual, the financial, and the emotional. So my why was getting to the point where I just had every ingredient to make what you would say a good life, and just couldn't work out why it wasn't quite turning out that way. And the sourer I got in that process, the worse things got for my family, which is completely against what really I stood for, because I wanted to give them the life that I didn't have. And through the trauma process, the wagon wheel just keeps recycling us until the point where it was at a critical point. So the who, well, what I wanted to do was basically started with a program for mining men. I was a coal miner. I saw a lot of mental health issues amongst coal miners. There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of big burly men out there, and it's a dangerous environment. And you've really got to look after your brother and now sisters. But I started 28 years ago in the mining industry, so I come from a different time. When dinosaurs roamed the coal fields. And so I built a app based on the fact that I realised that I had I'd started being breaking down as I got older, and we all use a form of escapism in our lives to step out of the reality of our world sometimes. And for me, that had always been sport. I'd never been the greatest sports player. I'd always been a good B grader or C grader, depending on the size of the competition. And I love sports at every level. I have played nearly every single competitive sport in this country. And as I got older, I had ruptured a disc in my back. I've had 2 knee operations. I had dislocated my right shoulder so many times now that I don't have any function of it. It's now frozen. I had just continued to hurt myself. I ruptured my Achilles now. I've got bone spurs in my neck. I am literally the mess if I was a horse. They'd take me out the back and say, "Sorry, Trigger, end it for me." I'm not, luckily, right? And there's a lot of people that are willing to sort of keep me around a bit longer than that. So what I realised was, because of my competitive nature starting to fail, there's only 2 things that men do as they get older. They either spend more time sitting around talking about when they were active and when they were something in their own mind, in their own lunch break, and they usually do that drinking beer. Right? Very bad for us to live our lives that way, obviously. But we also take that competitive nature either home or to our workplace. So we were, by default, you start to see a lot more toxicity in males at 35 to 45-year-old, clashing at work, because we spend a lot of time with that competitive edge still inside of us. So if you're not taking it home and you're not taking it to work, there's nowhere really outlet for it, because your body's starting to break down, right? So it's probably just on the drink and then maybe a bit of a knuckle if you're that way inclined. I was until I got seriously injured in a fight. So the how for me was, all right, well, I'm going to start working myself on understanding those 5 principles I mentioned earlier. But the physical side of it was something that was easy for me, because I watched a lot of people with the Strava apps and the rowing apps and all of these different apps that were specific for people that were really good at something, or really trying to be really good at something and compete in one thing against everybody. So what I did with the Average AF was I started a slogan, basically a niche that basically comes across as, well, average as, the implication of what AF sort of stands for in youthful terms. But when you get into the app, it says if you don't get those 5 principles in your life in balance, you'll eventually end up average AF. Or you don't have to be an ant in the system. You can choose the F that you want to be: formidable, fun, fiery, foxy, friendly. So this is just a conversation starter, because I think it's a good way to get anybody on board with cracking them open and making them feel comfortable to tell their story. I tell it like it's a night at the pub. How close I got to suicide, because I always said suicide to me was similar to prostitution. I always knew it was an option. I just hoped I'd never get desperate enough to ever have to use it. And I got pretty close to the suicide part, not the prostitution. So my how was, well, I still love playing short sports. Okay, so everywhere I went with my friends, we could be just sitting there and throw a beer cap. When you crack a beer and throw a beer cap and I'd hit the bin, and I'd watch the next bloke. He'd have his shot when he cracked his beer, and by the end of it, we were all clicking them and shooting them and getting them off the back wall. And then I'd spend times where I'd just be talking to my mate and kick a football, and we'd kick a football to each other, and then we'd try and do a best catch or try and do a best kick. And I realised that there's always that little bit of two flies on the wall. There's always that little bit of competition between men, healthy competition, not toxic, right? Not the way the world would tell you that everything's toxic if it's competition with men, right? It's just fun stuff. And I see more men and their sons and daughters play for longer if they can get themselves mentally involved in the competition of it, you know what I mean? Like if it's a little bit of kicking the soccer ball around or a little bit of a race or something like that, it always had to have something sort of competitive with it. So what I did was I went and built an app with 120 short sports, short versions of all sports in it. And I split them across 5 categories. They are the crank categories, right? And the crank categories were crush it, rip it, aim it, nail it, and kick it. Okay, and so the goal of the Average AF app was to make sure that we were always inclusive and diverse by not giving a shit about any of that stuff. All right, so the app doesn't care whether you're tall, short, fat, skinny, old, young, able, disabled, within reason. What gender you are, male, female, or any of the 452 other options that are out there today. We don't care. I don't care. It makes no difference to the app. Okay. All you do is you pick 2 games from each of the category as a minimum to get a 10-game total average score. And the reason we did it that way, or the reason I did it that way when I thought of it and built it that way, was because too often for balance, people tend to focus on the thing in those 5 elements that they're the most successful at, or they're doing the best at, right? And so people will dive in, and most physical people, will have financial people will have a physical look about them. Intellectual people will have a physical look about them, but they'll be devoid of spiritual connection and emotional connection. And people that are spiritually and emotionally connected certainly won't go out and kick a football. They're not really out there. They're not out there sort of playing rugby league a lot of the time. So they all tend to dive in and stay in their comfort zone, because remember, it's a form of escapism. When you find what you're good at, you like to stay there, right? So unfortunately, we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's why I built the app in such a way that you have to go and find some things that aren't normally your thing, right? In fact, the way that the games are set up in the app, if the app finds that a lot of people are playing a game, as more and more people play those games, the multiplier for that game starts to go down. So if it's easy and too many people are punching it in there as their 10 score, it actually starts taking the multiplier off you. Because the point is to make sure that you are always striving to do something new, that you're always trying to strive to do something different or harder, not just resting on your laurels, all right? So we're trying to teach a little bit of resilience without having to say, be resilient, because people get a bit wigged out if they think you're engaging in a mental health or a wellness sort of society, okay? This is fun in the sun with exercise and friends and family. Using social media as a communication tool of what I'm up to, what I'm playing, what score I just got, and posting a video on it. So taking the best of Dude Perfect, a very popular American series where they do trick shots from all over the place. Okay, coupling that into just young people. Sorry, dogs just had a carry on. So as I was saying, you were always encouraged to go out and keep looking for the new, looking for the little gem, looking for the one that people aren't doing to get that high score in it. So sometimes you only have to get a 50% score of the maximum score to actually score higher than what you are with a 100% score in one of the other games. So people tend to lean into what they're good at, and by default cause imbalance in their lives because they continue to lean into it so much that they forget about the other things that I believe are really important. Spiritual, emotional is something that a lot of people leave behind, particularly men. And so when? Well, the when for me was any time that they wanted. Okay, so we've come to a place in the world where we are so, the cost of living is hurting us so badly that most people, the husband and the wife, are working, if they're even together, the way that the nature of the separations are in this world. But if they are both working, then they both probably feel lack of time or almost guilt if they were to finish the working week and then go and spend 5 hours on a Sunday playing golf. And that's not something necessarily that you can do with all of your kids as well. And so basically I wanted to build something that, you know, came full circle and allowed people to pick at any time they want to compete with their friends, whether they're there or not, and actually get involved with their children, age difference or not. So you can pick, a 60-year-old can go in there and pick darts, lawn bowls, pool, hooky, you know, whatever he wants to kick, to find, right? He can just keep picking the eyeballs out of all of the things that suit his age group. And he might take his grandson on, who's 18 years old, and the grandson might pick bench press, sprinting, sit-ups, drop kicks, 40-20s, poster plugger, which is, you know, kicking an AFL goal. And the end result is his average score might be 6,450, and Grandpa's score might be 6,452. So because of the way that the 120 games are set up, that he can actually start to get beaten by it. Now, the win for us is this is the potential to be a national competition. Okay, so I've built it so it can be a national competition, a state competition, a regional competition, but most importantly, we want it to be a community competition. Okay, so we want your community or your community of friends to only focus on themselves, all right? Because this is in alignment with a project that I've been working with Matt Lawson and some others, but I've built a lot of stuff in the backwater for a long time about the tight fight, all right? So this is trying to keep people in smaller groups, focusing on each other and driving each other to success and goals in the model. So basically, you're starting to build communities, you know, all over the place that are really not even realizing that they're interacting, okay? Because until you set up some defaults in there, you basically encourage them just to be concentrating on themselves. There might be 8 in this group, 7 in this group, 6 in this group, 5. There might be 22 in this. This could be an all boys school. This could be a men's workplace. You know, this could be the local football club, or hopefully this could be the local gym. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the people to understand that there's 2 things that you have to do in there. Inside of the app, you have to invite other people to play with you, probably in person most likely, but you can do it by video, actually checking each other by video, and then you verify that their score is legit. Okay, so that's a function inside of the app that you verify the score is legit. So when you go to places like the gym, you might not have your friend with you, and you might want to do the sit-up competition, the bench press competition, the push-up, the plank competition, okay? So what we would like to do is encourage those businesses to actually be the person that propagates the Average AF app, because they want their little community to start growing, therefore giving them a bit of a point of difference where they can use a tool to communicate. So you would see something like this. So this is Bazza. So Bazza is the male version of the Average AF app. As you noticed, Bazza looks a lot like me with the big barrel chest and the skinny little legs. Probably got a bit rounder head than my one, but basically you would expect to see something like that. Sorry for the unprofessional way that I'm presenting it, but yeah, you know, this shop, that gym is a verifier for the talk for 4 of the games, the plank, the push-ups, all of the names are Aussie sarcastic slang type names, all right? So basically you would walk into the gym, and if you didn't know about it, the gym would say, hey, have you heard about this new app? You know, join our community. All you got to do is download the app. It's free. Jump in there and tell me what your name is that you put in there. So Billy Bloggs puts his name in, and she adds them to the Emerald, which is where I live, the Emerald Community Gym. Bang, adds him into there. So then he sets that as his default leaderboard, and he's like, what have I got to do? And she says, well, you've got to get a score in 10 of these games here. If you pick them out, pretty much you can get close in the gym to it, but it won't all be heavy lifting. Some of it will be cardio, some of it will be stair climbing, all that sort of stuff, okay? So once he gets his score going in there, his notifications that he's playing and posting scores start going around all of those people in that community. So they don't even really have to worry about what's going on in the world. It could be the biggest national competition in the world. There could be people on huge scores, but in their tight-knit little community, they could just be doing promos saying, come on down this Saturday, you know, we're going to be having a free barbecue for men's health or mental health, and we're going to test our trainers against the common folk of our gym. You know what I mean? We're going to see these superhumans that they think that they are, we're gonna go up against them in an average AAF competition. We're gonna put 10 games on and we're gonna run it like that. Or the golf club be the same thing. You know, they're using their social media to say, come on down to the golf club this weekend. We've got the driving set up, we've got the chipping set up, and we've got the putting set up. There are 3 games that you'll find in the average AAF app. We have a community called the Emerald Golf Club community inside of the app. Jump in, join up for free. There'll be prizes on the day. Have a drive, have a chip, have a putt. Even if you haven't got time to play a full game of golf, why not enjoy the things that you enjoy the most, you know, probably anyway, which is those parts, but not the walking and the driving and the looking for balls, okay? So if we can convince them, you know, with the when and the how to start growing their own things before they know it, if they just sort of think, hey, actually I'm pretty good at this, I'm not getting a bad score, and they click across the different categories, that's where bigger businesses can come in, right? So the regional, the state and the national, that's where they can get involved and say, hey, listen, we want to run a 3-monthly we want to run a 3-monthly competition where the Queensland's highest scores, you know, can get together with all of the states, and maybe we have a playoff for Queensland, and then once every 6 months, we have a playoff against all of the states together. How they want to sponsor that, what they want to do, that's up to them. The communities we've talked about, pretty easy. Inside of the app, there's things like PIF points, pay it forward points. So you receive wow points every time that you do anything in there. If you invite someone, create a community, play a game, you get a wow point, which is a working on wellness point. Okay, there's no likes or any of that sort of fake shit from the social medias, but what you can do, if you see something that you like in one of the videos, or if you've got a mate that needs some help to get enough points to get some merch or something like that in the shop, which is what the wow points get you. You can PIF it, so you can pay it forward. So you can give people PIF points, which is gifting them some of your points, and they'll know that you gave them some points, so that's cool. It's all about goodwill, paying it forward. Or you can be a dirty rotten scoundrel if you really want to, and you can challenge your mate to a what's up challenge. All right, so that's basically when you reach out to a mate and say, what's up, punk? I want to challenge you to a downtown crown, a game of the downtown crown with a 3-point shootout, all right? So I'm going to challenge you for 100 points. And that is a little tussle between the two of you, or even if it's complete strangers, that is done outside of the actual workings of the app for the sake of scoring in the game. And that's just a little bit of fun banter stuff to sort of go against each other if you're trying to get them to play a game that you think that you're better than them at, right? Because they're sitting over here playing 10 games and their average score is beating it. So yeah, that's a very long-winded explanation for the why. It's my journey, the who. I think this is really good for men, and I think it's really good for teenage kids. I'd really love to see this as adapted into a program. I understand that there might be a little bit of pushback with the AF, but like I said, implying that something says something compared to doing it. At no stage in the app or the website does it actually say the word fuck. It just implies that that's what you'll end up at. So maybe a bit risky in today's environment, but I do believe that if we can get it into the men's health groups, if we can get it into the men's publics, if we can get it into the sporting societies where, like I said, they don't even have to risk branching out into having their members branch out from the golf club into other lawn bowls and avenues like that. It's just about them growing and promoting themselves inside of the free app. And then I guess, look, the question for all of you is sitting there is like, how do we make money out of that? Well, most of the videos have to be posted to YouTube to receive certain amounts of points. So you've got advertising, you've got subscription through the Working on Wellness page. There's an average AF page and a Working on Wellness page, but they both have shops. But the Working on Wellness page is basically setting up to be a one-stop marketplace for all things wellness under the spiritual, physical, intellectual, financial and emotional banners. That's probably the easiest way to make some money. Every WOW point gets to go towards discounts set by the provider of services or the providers of products inside them. We have, obviously you have your normal avenues through merch and advertising. So there's banners across the top of the app where you can have your advertising at the top or the bottom, all that sort of stuff. I mean, I genuinely believe, you could probably go and throw $10 into a rough bed of crypto and make 1,000 to 1 on your money if you knew what you were doing, and then you'd have to worry about how you sleep at night and are you in balance, or you could chuck $10 into this and possibly make 100. And if and when you did make that money, you would sleep well at night knowing that you actually made it off the off pushing and promoting something that is new, different, but incorporating things that we already know about us in this country. You know, that we are resilient. We don't like talking about it and things until it's too late. Most of the people that are going to seek help from the Western world, Are You OK days and the psychologists and the psychiatrists, it's too late. They're already broken. You know, it's very hard you need a specialist to fix people when they get to that level. So these are preventative tools rather than mitigating strategies. I'm all about preventing a critical failure of someone's mental health, rather than trying to have professionals and the right people to be able to help put those pieces back together once the damage is already done. That is a long-lasting situation, and I'd much prefer to do what we can, particularly with the children, to curb this rapid growth that we're seeing in all things wellness. Be it obesity, be it just mental illness and depression, anxiety, or any range of the medications that they give out these days, like Tic Tacs, lollies at the shops. I'm not for it. Thank you for your time, and if you want to know anything more, reach out, let me know, and we'll go from there.